I'm just shocked at how many lies were told.
Essentially, I walked you through the New York Times metadata and showed you that this woman had posted on X and essentially just like blared it out to the world.
Players in one of the ugliest Hollywood disputes in recent memory faced off in a New York City courtroom.
Blake Lively is in full meltdown mode as the court exposes her lies using Candace Owens' metadata receipts to dismantle her accusations.
Yesterday, on Friday, Brian Friedman, Justin Baldoni's lawyer, amended their lawsuit against Blake Lively, and they included the New York Times data.
Seriously, did she really think she could just throw out allegations against Justin Baldoni and walk away unscathed?
We want a judge to see our side of things. Girl, goodbye. Like, just goodbye. It's like the fakest thing ever. She's now fake Lively, crying Reynolds.
Little did she know her carefully crafted sob story was full of flaws easily exposed by digital evidence.
And we're therefore amending this because we think that it shows that she was plotting before.
And the media, they lapped it up like a bunch of starved puppies. On December 2 ST 2020, the New York Times published a detailed report, a carefully planted sob story to push Lively's agenda. The timing absolutely not a coincidence. The media blitz was so perfectly aligned with Lively's complaint that it's almost insulting how predictable it was. She wanted the world to see her as a victim before any fact could be checked. But here's where the plot twist kicks in. Candace Owens stepped in and flipped the entire script on its head.
Brian Friedman says, due to public interest in this case, we have now stumbled upon this, and we're therefore amending this because we think that it shows that she was plotting.
Owens didn't just throw shade, she obliterated Lively's credibility. The receipts metadata analysis from the New York Times' own website that exposed how Lively's team was in with the press before the complaint even hit the legal system. She wasn't just a crying victim, she was orchestrating the whole show.
Anyways, just wanted to say that we should be celebrating this as a major win because we were the ones who dug all of this up like psychos because we have been obsessed with this case.
The moment this came out, Lively should have packed up and gone into hiding, but nope, she doubled down with even more pathetic attempt at controlling the narrative.
What's also really amazing about it is he even says we now have a concrete timeline, which we believe implicates Blake Lively.
This woman went full PR mode, pushing her victim campaign through Hollywood's elite. Suddenly, celebs were coming out of the woodwork to defend her. Organizations were making statements, and it was all just a big stage crocodile tear circus. But here's where it gets hilarious. Lively, who ran to the press first, had the audacity to demand a gag order against Bolden's attorney Brian Friedman.
On Monday, they're going to court because two things. Blake is trying to gag them. I don't think that's going to go through. How can you try to say you're playing this in the press when the entire reason we got here was because you tried to play this in the press? Like, you went to the New York Times to try to take him down and to set a public narrative.
Let's repeat that she set the media storm in motion and then cried about wanting privacy. When it started backfiring, the judge took one look at this nonsense and threw it out. No gag order, no silencing Bolden side, absolutely no easy escape. Owens, or presenting cold hard evidence, she shows that Lively's team had everything in place for her complaint days before it was even filed.
I mean, come on. I was the psycho who put together the timeline. So I think they've been watching the show.
So while Lively was out there acting shocked and devastated, she was literally plotting every move behind the scenes. The second this went public, her entire narrative collapsed like a poorly written Netflix reboot.
The entire reason we got here was because you tried to play this in the press. Like, you went to the New York Times to try to take him down and to set a public narrative. And now that it's backfiring, you want.
Bolden's team wasted no time in amending their lawsuit to include Owens' findings. Imagine being so bad at faking victimhood that even a talk show host can fact-check you into a lawsuit update. Brian Friedman took Owens' wake and slammed it straight into the case, showing the court that Lively's whole story was strategically manufactured, not an organic cry for justice.
She's basically saying that she does not want to sit down for a deposition with Brian Friedman. Like, I know that this girl grew up rich and privileged, but how rich we talking? You know what I'm saying? Because does she think she's just like a princess that she can just be like, I don't like your lawyer?
Blake thought she could just silence Bolden's team with a gag order and go back to playing the tragic heroine. But the judge shut that down fast. She literally ran to the press first, tried to destroy a man's career with pre-planned media hits, and now that her lies were unraveling, she wanted everyone else to shut up. Yeah, not happening. The court flat out rejected her request, making it crystal clear that she couldn't dish it out and then hide behind legal restrictions. When it backfired, if that wasn't Already bad enough, her biggest fear came true. The new evidence was getting taken seriously.
How rich we talking? You know what I'm saying? Because does she think she's like a princess that she can just be like, I don't like your lawyer and I don't want to sit down with him and answer questions and tell the truth. So she's trying to get out of having to sit down and be deposed by Brian Freeman. Like, sweetheart, that's not.
Thanks to Candace Owens' takedown of her fake victim narrative, the court had to reevaluate everything the metadata showed. That Lively's complaint was strategically timed and coordinated with media outlets, proving that her entire sob story was cooked up before she even filed a lawsuit. The moment this evidence got admitted, her entire legal strategy crumbled. What was supposed to be a slam dunk case against Baldoni suddenly looked like a premeditated hit job.
Be deposed by Brian Freeman. Like, sweetheart, that's not your option. You don't get to decide who your defense's lawyer is. He picked Brian Friedman. You don't like him because he played your game better than you.
And now the big moment is coming. That's when this whole mess officially goes to trial. That means Lively will have the answer for everything under oath. No more manipulating headlines, no more handpicking soft interviews, and definitely no more hiding behind Ryan Reynolds' sarcastic tweets. She's going to have to sit in court and explain why every single piece of evidence makes her look like a conniving, power-hungry liar. And let's be real, the industry is watching.
You guys went to the New York Times. Oh, nobody could be bigger than the New York Times before you filed your lawsuit, as all of the evidence is indicating, because you wanted to set the public narrative against Justin Baldoni. Now that it's backfiring, you're like, hey, I want people gagged. This is unprofessional to go to the press. Everyone sees right through you and Ryan.
Ryan Reynolds, the human equivalent of a self-aware meme, somehow managed to get himself roped into his wife's courtroom disaster, and not in a supportive husband way. Nope, this man went from being best buddies with Justin Baldoni to calling him a deranged predator overnight. Now call me crazy, but isn't that just a little bit suspicious? I mean, what happened, Ryan? 1 minute you're praising Baldoni as a wonderful collaborator, and the next you're acting like he's a supervillain in a Deadpool movie.
Like, oh, we weren't trying to play the public, but we put it in every Deadpool scene, and we mocked this man extensively. And but now that the public is onto us and they see how cruel we've been, we would like things to be quiet, and we want a judge to see our side of things. Girl, goodbye.
So let's break this down, shall we? Ryan and Justin were actually pretty close. They were seen at fundraisers together, sharing laughs, shaking hands, posing for the perfect Hollywood bromance photos. And then poof, just a few months later, leaked private messages show Ryan suddenly trashing Justin like he just found out he was secretly the Joker. Now either Justin kicked Ryan's dog or there was something bigger going on behind the scenes.
She's now fake Lively, Crying Reynolds. That's what they're calling them out there. Fake Lively and Crying Reynolds here, who want to pretend that they were not the bullies, that the public just saw right through them in this circumstance. But anyways, just wanted to say that we should be celebrating this as a major win, because we were the ones who dug all of this up like psychos, because we have been obsessed with this case.
And let's be real, we all know what happened. Blake whispered in Ryan's ear, told him to pick a side. And because he is legally required to keep his wife happy, probably in a contract written in blood, he turned on Justin faster than Hollywood turns on a canceled actor. Forget loyalty, forget common sense. Ryan did what Ryan does best, perform, only this time his audience wasn't Twitter, it was a courtroom. But wait, let's talk about the timing, because oh boy, it is comedy gold. Ryan's sudden change of heart about Baldoni just so happened to line up perfectly with Blake filing her complaint. I mean, what are the odds? One day Justin is his talented, hard-working friend, and the next is a dangerous creep, coincidentally right when Blake needed a villain to make her fairy tale courtroom story work.
Said, like, Justin Baldoni's like my cousin now. He's my kombucha sipping cousin. You know, he had an unexpected wild dragon in me, and he's like the Jon Snow of her Targaryen story. He really never wanted this.
And let's not pretend that Ryan is some innocent victim here. This is a guy who built his entire brand on sarcasm and self-deprecating humor. But suddenly he can't handle the jokes when the internet starts calling him out. Oh, but he sure could mock Justin Baldoni in Deadpool. Seems right, he and Blake had no problem slipping jabs at Baldoni into their little projects, laughing it up at his expense. But now that the public sees through the charade, Ryan wants everyone to forget how deep in this he really is.
He's like the Jon Snow of her Targaryen story. He really never wanted this. He's like, I never wanted this. I thought Blake Lively was my queen. I'm like, dude, she just killed a whole village of children and innocent women. Okay, she's psycho.
Let's not forget he is one of the most bankable actors in Hollywood right now, but here's the problem: Ryan thrives off being likable. That's literally his entire thing. The internet loves him because he's funny, relatable, and doesn't take himself too seriously. But guess what? Getting caught in a messy stage piece scandal that looks like an orchestrated takedown of a former friend, not a good look. And let's talk about the media reaction. TMZ, for once, actually admitted that online sleuths and Owens' work were pivotal in uncovering this mess. Normally, these outlets tried to act like they are breaking the story, but even they had to give credit where it was due. This was no longer just some he said, she said Hollywood scandal. This was straight-up legal deception at play.
She wanted to be part of that team. The next thing you know, she took over the editing. She started making threats that she wouldn't promote the movie, that she wanted to be in control of marketing of the movie, that she would do nothing in terms of promotion unless she was the actual editor.
Judge Leigh J. Lyman had clearly had enough of Blake Lively's courtroom circus, so he finally stepped in and laid down the law. Both parties were ordered to stop blabbering to press because, shocker, the case wasn't supposed to be fought in the pages of the New York Times or on Instagram. Blake had been desperately trying to control the narrative, but now the judge made it clear that this wasn't a Hollywood PR stunt. It was a real legal battle, and for someone who has built a career on looking effortlessly perfect in public, this was her worst nightmare.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
Hollywood loves a winner, but more importantly, Hollywood hates a liability. And right now, Blake Lively isn't just losing, she's radioactive. This lawsuit was supposed to be a big dramatic courtroom performance, but instead she's flopping harder than a low-budget rom-com. And the worst part, the industry insiders, the powerful Hollywood names, the so-called friends she thought had her back, yeah, they've all gone suspiciously quiet.
Because Justin, 5 years ago, was the one who optioned this film. He brought Blake on because Colleen Hoover is such a big fan. This is his film, and he has basically been pushed out by the Blake Lively show. And that breaks my heart because I've always been a fan of Blake Lively. I've been a fan of her relationship with Ryan Reynolds and the way that they parent their kids. I've always been a fan of her, but this has literally just become like the Blake and Ryan show, like promoting Deadpool Wolverine, promoting her hair care line, all of that.
Blake thought she could turn this into a Hollywood versus Justin Baldoni fight, except the problem is nobody actually likes her enough to go down with her. In the beginning, she had a few ride or die supporters, the usual feminist activists, a couple of washed-up co-stars, but now crickets.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
Where's her army of Hollywood A-listers rushing to defend her? Where are the powerful producers and executives swearing that Baldoni is a monster? Nowhere, because no one in Hollywood actually believes Blake Lively anymore, and they are too scared to publicly back her.
Psycho, okay? Get on my back. We're gonna go get some revenge. No, I never wanted to sit. Justin. He's like, why'd you vote for Trump? Justin, stop. It doesn't matter who voted for Trump. Get on my back. We're gonna go get some revenge, okay?
And let's not forget Taylor Swift's unwilling cameo in this mess. Lively thought she could pull her billionaire bestie into the fray, but reports started swirling that Swift wasn't exactly thrilled about being dragged into a full-blown legal disaster. And who can blame her? No one wants to be associated with a Hollywood version of a messy group chat turned courtroom drama.
Taylor, I mean, she's such an incredible writer. She writes from such personal experiences and vulnerability. So to have these two women who are authoring their story, and also women who are really like, you know, Colleen started as being
The moment Blake tried to drag Taylor Swift into her mess like a desperate woman pulling her best friend into a fight, she started. Blake thought mentioning Taylor's name in her legal filings would make her untouchable. Big mistake.
She never inserted herself in this dispute between Blake and Justin over the script, but Blake certainly made it seem that way with the text to Justin. And I think, honestly, that text to Justin is saying, look at the power I have.
Reports are now saying Taylor Swift feels used and wishes she'd never been dragged into this disaster. And you know what, she should feel used because Blake wasn't trying to protect Taylor. She was trying to use Taylor as a human shield.
I just felt like, you know what? It's not okay to behave like that, and I think it needs to be called out.
This is Hollywood 101. If you can't win the case, make it about something bigger. And Blake tried to turn her failing lawsuit into a protect powerful women movement by linking it to Taylor's name. But instead of getting more sympathy, she just pissed off one of the most powerful people in the industry.
And I think that is an understatement of a word, a rift between Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. Taylor feels like she's been used.
Yeah, used in the middle of Blake Lively's war with Justin Baldoni.
And instead of crying to the media or calling in favors from famous friends, Baldoni dropped a 168-page evidence nuke. And when people actually took the time to read it, they realized this wasn't just gossip. This was documented fact text contradicting Blake's claims, emails proving her timeline was staged, absolutely proof that she was already planning this hit job before filing the complaint 100%. This isn't just he said, she said. This is she lied, he proved it, because if Blake Lively gets dragged in court for weaponizing media narratives, it changes everything for Hollywood. This case isn't just about one actress trying to ruin a co-star. It's about whether celebrities can keep using media manipulation as a legal tactic. If the court sets a precedent that using the press to destroy someone before an actual trial is illegal, then suddenly every PR-driven scandal in Hollywood is under scrutiny.
Monday, they will be going to court. And I will be monitoring that and probably do a live. I don't know what time they're going to go to court, but we'll have some more updates on what's going on with the situation.
The same actors and influencers who casually drop bombshell accusations on social media with zero evidence might actually have to face consequences. That's terrifying for people like Lively, who built their careers on playing the media like a fiddle. And speaking of careers, let's talk about how fast Blake Lively's reputation is tanking. She went from America's sweetheart to the villain of the internet overnight. Her Instagram comments, our war zone people, are clowning her in every tweet, and even her celebrity friends are suspiciously quiet. Remember when every A-star was jumping to defend her at the beginning? Yeah, notice how no one is saying anything now. Even her closest Hollywood buddies seem to be slowly backing away, pretending they never knew. Applause, music. Her, and it's not just her social standing that's crumbling. Her career is straight up disintegrating. Studios hate controversy. And guess what? They really hate actresses who lie in court. Blake was supposed to have a big Netflix deal lined up for 2025, but now silent. She was rumored to be in talks for a major fashion collaboration, but suddenly that brand is conveniently looking for someone with a strong, positive public image. Even her longtime partnerships with luxury brands are reviewing their contract translation. They are waiting to see if she survives this dumpster fire or if they have to drop her like yesterday's trend. And Hollywood itself is in panic mode, because if this case ends badly for Blake, it means actors and actresses can't just pull the believe all women card without proof anymore. Studios don't want messy court cases attached to their movies. Directors don't want actors who could bring a lawsuit to set instead of just showing up for work. And investors, they definitely don't want their project derailed by drama queens with a grudge. Some people are saying this case isn't just about Blake versus Baldoni, it's about old Hollywood power versus the outsiders. Blake represents the elite Hollywood circle that has been controlling narrative for years. She's rich, connected, and used to having every advantage. She thought she could manipulate the press, the courts, and the industry to destroy Baldoni.
Those who are not in the Hollywood world, what is wrong with her taking over the film?
I've never seen it before in my 30-plus year career in Hollywood. And an executive producer is below a producer in the film world. An executive producer signed up to be an executive producer, and that
Baldoni is not from that club. He doesn't come from a Hollywood dynasty. He doesn't have billion dual connections, and he definitely didn't have an army of PR people to spin the story, yet here he is winning. And if this case ends with Baldoni clearing his name and Blake Lively's career going down in flames, it proves that Hollywood's old tricks don't work anymore. The power isn't just in connections, it's in the truth. And Blake just learned that the hard way. Oh, and let's not forget the Financial side of things, Blake wasn't expecting to have to pay for this circus, but now she's bleeding money. Lawsuits aren't cheap, and defamation cases can be brutal. If you lose, with Baldoni suing for $400 million, even if she settles, it's going to cost her millions. That's on top of legal fees, PR teams, and damage control consultants trying and failing to fix her image. And if a trial goes badly, she could be paying out settlements. For years, then came the most delicious part, the complete shift in public opinion. Lively, who was banking on the world seeing her as a wounded actress fighting against a powerful man, suddenly found herself being called fake. Lively's social media was ruthless the moment Owens' receipts hit the internet. Lively and Reynolds weren't seen as crusaders, they were seen as manipulators. It was a PR backfire of the decade. And the best part, Blake Lively still had the nerve to act like she was the one being attacked, even as her own words, her own timeline, and her own media manipulations were being exposed. She still played the same sad tune, but nobody was buying it anymore. Not the public, not the judge, and definitely not Bolden's legal team. What's next for Blake Lively? Probably irrelevant. She can try playing the misunderstood actress card, but the public has already moved on. People don't trust her anymore. Even if she manages to dodge serious legal consequences, she's forever marked as a woman who tried and failed to manipulate the court of public opinion. Hollywood forgives a lot, but it doesn't forgive someone who gets caught lying this publicly. If you enjoyed watching Blake Lively's courtroom disaster unfold, make sure to subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because trust me, this saga is far from over.